All right, sports fans, welcome out to the first episode of GT Sports Unlimited. You see behind me, you see the company name. It will be GT Sports. And of course, GT Sports has three podcasts. It'll have GT Sports Unlimited, the Gridiron 64, and of course, it's got the Pirates Cove. Each podcast does something different. My plans are to grow each one. It is a lot of work. Sometimes I sleep just 2 hours a night, but hey, I think it's all worth it. I'm having a lot of fun. And so I just kind of want to, before we get started with NFL talk, of course, we're going to break down week 6, which were Thursday and yesterday's games, and then we're going to preview week 7. I kind of just want to talk a little bit about GT Sports Unlimited and what it does. GT Sports Unlimited covers the NFL, the NBA, MLB. It'll cover as far as pro sports, and then it'll cover college, which will be football, basketball, men's basketball, and baseball. And then we do UFC and boxing. So right now, that's what we're doing. And so I'm building a team, a panel for the NFL. And then, of course, I'm already building one for the NBA, MLB. And then we already got one for UFC. So we just continue to grow and build. It's sports 24/7, and hopefully I can continue to grow my panel. I think the more we grow the panel, the more exciting, the more fun it'll be. I look for guys that are like me and just want to talk sports 24/7. I talk sports 24/7 at work, when I'm off work, on the podcast. So just, hopefully we're going to make it grow. And then GT Sports not only talks college and pro, but it'll also talk about high school. Now, we don't talk high school football because we got the Gridiron 64, but we will talk the GT Sports Unlimited. We'll cover high school, Texas high school, baseball, softball. It'll cover basketball, boys and girls. It'll cover powerlifting, soccer, boys and girls. And so hopefully we can continue to grow. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this. Tonight though, it's NFL talk. It's a Monday evening. It's 5:00. I got a guest, my partner. He joins me and we talk NFL. We got a little late start, but hopefully this is going to be something we can continue to grow for next year. But I want to introduce my co-host, my partner that comes on every Monday, and we break down the NFL. And that's Thomas Martin. Thomas, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up? Where are y'all doing?
I'm doing great, man. I think you and I tonight are going to be really happy because, for one, my Dallas Cowboys, man, they're doing really good. I mean, listen, I was talking some mess today at work. We had a tough game. Of course, we'll break that down here in a bit, but they're 5-1 and they're looking good, man. So, it looks like if we can keep this up, we'll win the division. And then hopefully we can make some noise in the playoffs. Now, I know you're happy too because your Baltimore Ravens are looking really sharp now, and the difference here is that, Dak Prescott and my Cowboys, he's loaded. He's got weapons on the outside, and he's got Zeke and Tony Pollard in a good line. But Lamar Jackson, he doesn't have the talent around him that, say, Tom Brady does or Dak does or Stafford and the Rams. He's basically doing it on his own with a lot of injuries. It's been very impressive. And so we're going to break down your Ravens, my Cowboys. Hey, what if the Ravens and the Cowboys end up in the Super Bowl? Man, it'd make for great podcasting, wouldn't it?
It'll be crazy. I'll have to find some way to get me a ticket.
Yeah, your Ravens, man, Lamar Jackson, he's looking good, man. I mean, he's just out of sight right now, man. I don't know. We'll kind of break that down a little bit. I just kind of wanted to start off by saying, man, both of our teams are doing really well this year. We didn't really know what Cowboys are going to come in. I know you thought the Ravens would do good this year, but then the injuries started piling up on the team. But that hasn't seemed to affect them. It's kind of giving them motivation to come out and play even harder. So when we get to that game, we'll definitely break it down. But if you're ready to start, let's start with this past Thursday's game. You had Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Of course, Brady and the boys end up winning 28-22. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, man. He finds a way to win. I don't know if you watched that game, but what was your thoughts on this past Thursday's game?
Not a lot of surprises there, but I will say that Buccaneers defense, they're hurt, man. Them corners, they have a lot of corners out now. Richard Sherman, he's out now. With Philadelphia, we still don't really know what we have in Jalen Hurts. You know, he's impressive, but I would say inconsistent. There's a lot of throws that he misses that he should make, and the coaching, the Philadelphia coaching isn't all of that either. You know, they have Miles Sanders, a great running back. He touches the ball maybe 5-6 times a game. You know, I don't understand that. You're putting all this pressure on the young quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Get the ball to your playmaker so you can make some plays. You know.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I think they're putting too much on Hurts early on, and I think that's contributing to a lot of their losses. When you get a young quarterback in the NFL, right? You want to give him some easy throws, get him into a rhythm early on in the game, build some confidence in him. And if you've got a running back, that's what you want to use. Keep the drives alive and just get him into these little throws. Where he doesn't actually have to go out and win the game, but can get comfortable, possibly win you the game. But every week he gets better. The losses I think really hurt a young player confidence. Am I really this good? I would imagine goes through their minds. And I think right now Jalen he's going to be a good quarterback, but I think right now you're right. They're putting a lot of pressure on him, and they're not getting the results they want. So maybe they got to just take a look at it and see what else they can do. But they competed 28-22. It wasn't like they lost a lot. They came out, they competed against the world champs. Now you turn around and you look at Tom Brady. Yeah, you're right. Brady's a little older now, but that defense, is beatable. And they've got some corners that are injured. Some are out for the year. I think there's one, maybe two that are out for the year. Sherman's out now. So they're really thin back there. And I think good teams are going to throw on these guys. They know what their weakness is. And I don't know. I don't know what time will tell if these injuries are going to catch up to the Bucs. But I would say that, that defense is pretty vulnerable right now. And a good offensive team, can really pick them apart. So hopefully the Bucs, get some of their players back. But right now, they're pretty suspect, man. They're beatable. So we'll see, but at least they get the win this past Thursday over the Eagles. Then we go to Sunday's matchups, and the first one I want to talk about is the Miami Dolphins. Man, they were playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville gets their first win of the season and beats Miami 23-20. I know you're going to break this game down, but just tell me also, what does this do to Miami? Tua's back from a couple of weeks that he was injured. Doesn't say much for Miami, a team that we thought might make the playoffs. You lose to the Jags.
Man, I seriously don't know what to say about Miami, man. It's like Tua Tagovailoa, he had a pretty good game. Threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is he a difference maker? I don't know if Tua Tagovailoa, is he a difference maker? Is he the quarterback that you can sit and build a team around? I'm not sure about that. They have great coaching. Brian Flores is a great coach. One thing about Miami, they don't have a run game either. They don't have no run game. The offensive line need help on the O-line. So I guess I can't sit there and put everything on Tua Tagovailoa, but I'm not sure if he is a franchise changer. And for Jacksonville, I'm happy for Jacksonville. They needed that win. There's so much going on with that franchise right now, and all the losing that's been going on and all the commotion with Urban Meyer. I'm happy to see them win that game. I'm happy for them.
I'll start off with Miami. Yeah, I don't know if Tua is the, they passed on Justin Herbert, for Tua, a guy that was injured in college. And, Justin Herbert, I know he didn't, they didn't win, and we'll break his game down here in a minute. But overall, this guy, he's already shown he's going to be lights out in the NFL. We already know that. He's already proven that. Tua, the jury's still out on him, and you're right. Can Miami, is he the type of quarterback, franchise quarterback that they can actually build around? I think that question's still out there, and only time will tell. He's got to stay healthy, number one. But I think this loss to the Jags, really to me speaks volumes for what Miami's going to do this year. I don't think this is going to be a team that's going to make the playoffs. I thought that they would at the beginning, where week 6, I'm changing my mind. I just don't see this team. They've got probably top 3 corners in the league, but yet they lost. So I'm not sure. I like Miami, and I wanted to see them back in the playoffs, but I'm not so sure that they're going to get there this year. Which I think it's bad, because with the picks that they have, I didn't think they were going to win their division, but I thought they could be a wild card team. I'm not thinking that that's going to happen now. And you go over to Jacksonville. Yeah, it's great to see Trevor Lawrence and those guys get their first win. Man, they were happy.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, though, I don't think Urban Meyer is going to be there very long. I just not getting that feeling. There's just a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of distraction, and he's part of that distraction. And I don't know where ownership, GMs, and Urban are at this point, but definitely it's not starting off very good for him. And I just don't see him. He's kind of left teams. He doesn't stick around too much to rebuild. You either win early or he's gone. So I'm not so sure they'll get rid of him or he'll leave, but I just don't see that marriage lasting very long. There's just too much going on early on in this season. I think that distraction has kind of hindered. I didn't think they were going to win a lot of games this year, but man, it just not something I think Urban Meyer and the Jaguars are going to stay together for a long time. But it was great to see them get their first win and be happy. I know when you work out all week and you finally get a win and you break through, man, it feels good. So great win for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami, question still out. They've got a lot of issues right now, and we'll see what they can do the rest of the season. Then we're going to follow to the next game. You had the Green Bay Packers traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. We know that, man, this is always a good matchup between the Packers and the Bears. Of course, the Packers get the win 24-14. I know you're from Chicago, and I know you're not too happy right now with the way the Bears are playing. What do they got to do, Thomas? What do the Bears have to do? You got Khalil Mack. You got a good deep. What do they got to do to win some ball games and get in the playoffs? What's wrong with this team?
Fire Matt Nagy. Fire him. That's it. That's all. Fire him. It's just not working. It's not working out. Even with him not calling the plays anymore, he is not the right leader for this football team. We need from top to bottom. We just need a refresh. Defense is there. But the offense is broken. It's broken. And it's something that under Matt Nagy, it cannot be fixed. In my opinion, this team has too much talent on it to be playing this bad.
Mm-hmm.
The O-line, all right, I will say the O-line is kind of hurt. But get some quick throws out. Let Justin Fields get the ball out fast. Get him in a rhythm. They're not developing him the right way, and it makes me so mad that I just want to pull my hair out every single week. It's the same thing. We can't even score 21 points in a game. It's ridiculous, and I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing Green Bay Packers whoop on us every single year. We have Aaron Rodgers now telling fans, he owned us. He's been owning us. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of it, and it's time for a change.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think look, when you're not winning ball games, it starts at the top, and it starts with your head coach, regardless. You bring in the offensive coordinators, your defensive coordinators, your assistant coaches. So when they do good, props to you. When it's not working, you got to take the fall. And last year was the same thing, and nothing's really changed early on this season. So I think there does need to be a change. And yeah, man, I heard what Aaron Rodgers was saying, what was caught that he was saying, which was that he's owned them. And he says that because he's owned them.
That's true.
I think if you're Chicago, you got to make some changes. You really got to look at that team up and down. You've got to come up with some way to be more competitive. And it's not just with Green Bay and this rivalry that goes on. It's just every year they're falling short of getting in the playoffs. It used to be a team that, pretty much was guaranteed they were going to be in the playoffs, right? And we were going to be watching a playoff game in the cold weather at Soldier Field. That hasn't been the case now. So something has to change. It really does. And you might not be too far from being right. And it's the head coach. He's got to go, because whether he's calling the plays or not, it starts with him. Is he the right leader? Is this guy doing all the right things to get the guys focused? And it doesn't appear like that's happening. But again, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's he can beat a lot of teams, but I think you hit a good point. You're not scoring very many points either. And you gotta score points in this league. You got a good defense, right? You got Khalil Mack and those guys. but you got to score some points to win. You can't expect your defense to just hold everybody down to 10 points and you score 14 and win. If you can only score 14 points, you're not going to win very many games, which means you're not going to be in the playoffs. So you're right. You've got to score points in this league to be able to win some ball games, and that's not happening now for the Chicago Bears. So, we'll see what continues to happen. It's still early on in the season. Can the Bears turn it around? I don't know. But so far in this game, it didn't look very good when they faced Aaron Rodgers. But they played at home too. So it's not looking too good for the Bears right now. Next game on the list, you had the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. Cincinnati gets a huge win, 34-11. Joe Burrow's 271 passing. Joe Nixon, 94, and Jamar Chase, 97. Man, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I like the Cincinnati Bengals if Joe Burrows is healthy. Somebody asked me who was the dark horse for me in the NFC, AFC, and I said, man, listen, NFC, it was the Dallas Cowboys. They asked me earlier, and I couldn't really come up with a team I thought that would make some noise. And then a couple of days ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to go with the Bengals. This is a really good team, and they've got some weapons, and they've got a good quarterback that's going to be a great quarterback when his career is done. Your thoughts on Cincinnati and Detroit?
No surprises there. I don't see Detroit winning the game. And still, I've been saying it since week one. Detroit, it's still going to be a long season for those guys. Like I said, the Bengals, man, nice young team. They're a nice young team. They have weapons everywhere from quarterback on down. I think they still could do a little better job at protecting Joe Burrow, but I have seen improvement in that area. They're a fun team to watch, man. They're a fun team to watch. And they're going to have a nice season. They possibly could be a wild card team, possibly, if they, could keep it up, stay healthy. Detroit, first pick in the draft. Between them and Houston, one of those two teams will have the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, for Detroit, first of all, Cincinnati, man, I love Joe Burrows. I loved him in LSU. I'm not an LSU fan, but I like the way the guy played. I love the way he plays the game. He plays with a lot of confidence. And he does big things, and he can do big things, and he's going to do big things, right? So, I don't know if they can make the playoffs. Hopefully they can. But it's exciting to watch them play because you just never know. Because, they're a young, exciting team that they can score some points, right? So they're in an AFC. That's just tough to get in the playoffs in the AFC with all of the teams out there, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Tennessee, Buffalo. There's just too many teams I still think that are better this year. They're better than the Bengals, but you never know. Injuries play a part. And the Bengals, hey, man, they're going out there. They're just doing their thing. So even though I don't think that they will make the playoffs this year, wild card, you never know. It is exciting to watch them. For Detroit, they've been awful for years. Awful for years, man. You've had Barry Sanders get retired before his time because he just didn't want to play for them. Megatron, then Stafford comes out and says, hey, listen, what's going on in Detroit? What do they got to do down there? It's not like people wouldn't want to go see them play, but the upper management, the ownership, they're not putting any talent when they get talent around them. They don't go out and develop more talent to put around Stafford or Barry Sanders or Megatron. What do they got to do? Or are they going to be bad another 10 years? That franchise has been bad for a long time. If you're a Detroit fan, you got to be upset, man. Really, if you've been a 40-year Detroit, fan, you're sitting there going, man, listen, I don't think this is ever going to get any better. Ownership needs to step in and get something done. It ain't the coaching, man. They've had coaches, multiple changes in coaches, and it stays the same. So it's above the coaches. It's not coaching, I don't think, because they bring in coaches that are successful elsewhere. You just can't succeed in Detroit. I don't care who maybe Bill Belichick could do so. I don't know, but you just can't. They haven't won in years, man. And I just wonder what's going on down there. It's not like it's a bad place to play. It's a big market, but even their star players see something and say, man, I need to get out of this place if I want to win. Not good for Detroit, man. And I like to see this team get better, man. I'm not a Detroit fan, but I do cheer for them when they play, when they don't play my teams. But it's just been bad to see this team be so bad for so many years. we'll see what happens, man. But I think you're right. I think it's either going to be them or Houston that's going to take the first pick. And speaking of Houston, we'll talk about them next. They go over and they travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Indianapolis puts a whipping on them, 31-3. They started out okay. Deshaun Watson isn't playing. I don't think he's going to play the rest of this year either. There's no sign that they're going to bring him back. He's just going to be on the team, and they're just going to sit it out and wait till some of those personal issues get resolved, I believe. So I don't think he's going to come back. At least I haven't heard anything. They started out okay. Ever since then, it's just been a beatdown for them. And so let's start off with the Colts and then go over to the Houston. Your thoughts on the Colts? Is this a playoff team?
No, Colts are not a playoff team. I don't think Carson Wentz can play I don't think he can play them to the playoffs. The Colts, they have a solid defense. I like their defense, but in that AFC, nah, I don't see them going anywhere in the AFC. They need a quarterback. I think that ACL injury for Carson Wentz, I think that threw them all off track, and now it's like, it's time for a change. For the Texans, I feel so sorry for David Culley. I feel bad for him, man. He was thrown into a bad situation. Between Texans and the Lions is one of those two teams will have the first pick in the draft. This game, it wasn't interesting at all. It was never a competition at all. So, yeah, that's all I got.
So, I'm going to kind of jump on what you said about Culley. This is a coach that deserves to be a head coach of the NFL. And I just hope that Houston, will give him the opportunity, let him try to build. In other words, not a year or two and you're gone. I think that's unfair because he came in, like you said, into a bad situation. Your star player is out. He doesn't want to play. So when you he's not even, giving you an opportunity or a chance. And I said this, I hope he's not the fall guy for the Texans when they start getting better. Because I do believe this franchise will get better, but it's going to take maybe 2 to 3 years. And I just hope that when Houston picked Culley, they picked him simply because they thought he was the right man for the job. They liked what he had done. He'd been in the NFL for years, even though it's his first head coaching job. And I hope they feel that this is a coach that can help them build, get the right pieces in place, and give him an opportunity to compete. I don't want to see him out after this year or next year because I think it's going to take longer than 2 years. So I'm hoping that the Texans will not put the blame on him and get rid of him, because if they do, it's a bad deal for Coach Culley. He really is in a bad situation. I don't think many coaches could have came in and done much more than what he's doing. Just, your star players out, it's kind of like the trades that Bill O'Brien did also hurt the Houston Texans. You see Hopkins, what he's doing in Arizona. And so, Houston's just, they've got to give this guy an opportunity to rebuild that franchise, which may take, 3 or 4 years. So I'd like to see him get at least that opportunity. But in the NFL, you don't win, you get cut pretty much. And so I think hopefully that won't happen, but that's the way the NFL works. It's a business. But I hope Houston's ownership will realize that he was in a bad situation and give him an opportunity to really have a chance to build that team up. So we'll see what happens. But it's a down year. What I hope that Coach Culley and the Houston Texans, I would like to see from them is just to continue to play hard. Come out and compete every day, whether you win or lose, just compete, not just give up on them. And I think those guys will come out, but not in this game. There was really no competing as they take the loss 31-3. Going into the next game, you have the Los Angeles, I think it was the Rams.
Yeah,
playing at New York, playing the Giants. The Rams get the big win, 38-11. What were your thoughts on? I think the Rams just have one loss to the Cardinals, but talk a little bit about the Rams, and then I know the Giants have a lot of injuries. Kind of talk about them and what's going to happen to their season.
I'm going to start off by saying there are 3 teams that I see that could come out the NFC right now: the Los Angeles Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's for one. I think Matthew Stafford has lifted this Rams team to an elite level that they need to get to, that Jared Goff could not get them to. They have two of the greatest defenders in the world on their defense with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Giants never stood a chance from ever, especially with all those injuries that's going on. The Rams are a legit Super Bowl contender as long as they're healthy. For the Giants, I see Joe Judge is not the guy for this team, in my opinion. You know, one thing that I've realized is that a lot of Bill Belichick, his coaches or people that he's developed, they don't actually turn out to be really good head coaches. And Joe Judge was the wide receivers coach for Bill Belichick, and it's not working. It's not working. Last year they were more competitive than this year. They had a solid defense last year. This year is just not working. Even though, yes, they have a lot of injuries, but even with they're not. It's not working out.
Yeah, I got to tell you first off, the Rams. I think the Rams. I love their offense and Stafford. That was a great pick, but it really comes down to that defense. You know, that defense is what can take them into the Super Bowl. The offense, you know, can compete, but it's the defense that'll get them there if they can get there. And I think that's why they have to be a favorite because of the defense. You know, defense wins championships is what they say, right? And they've got one of the best defenses in the NFL. So because of that defense, if they stay healthy, they're in games. They'll always be in games. And now you've added Matt Stafford to that offense. You know, remember, Akers, their running back, is out. He was a big part of that of their team last year. So you get him back with the way Stafford's playing with those receivers, and all of a sudden, this is a really good team. So they're missing a key part, a component, right, to their offense. But it's really that defense that can get them to the Super Bowl. I think if Aaron Donald can stay healthy and all of their defense can stay healthy. And you flip it over to the Giants. Yeah, I got to agree with you. When Joe Judge was named head coach, I really didn't know what the Giants were thinking. In my opinion, I thought they needed somebody. And listen, this is not a knock on Joe Judge. It's his first year he's been a head coach. He's got to learn, right? So it's a lot different head coaching than you know, being an assistant for Bill Belichick. I'm sure that he learned a lot of things from Bill Belichick. So he's not like blinded into I don't know things in the NFL. I'm sure he does. He's learned from probably the best coach to ever in the NFL, and that's a big statement, right? But when he's got the championships that he does, you know, he's doing something right. That's Bill Belichick. So Joe Judge saw a lot of those things day in and day out of what you need to do to be a winning franchise. He was a part of one as an assistant coach. But the Giants, I thought, just needed an experienced coach. I think they needed somebody that had experience. I don't think they needed to go young. They needed somebody that had been a coach before, that had credentials of winning playoff games, maybe even a Super Bowl. I think that's what that team needed. And I thought they were going to be looking that way, and they didn't. So when they, you know, announced Joe Judge, I was really shocked. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, and the results the second year have not been very good for the Giants. And now you got to wonder, you know, last year in the NFC East, that was really awful. They still didn't do much. And now you're seeing that the Cowboys are really starting to pick up some speed. So it really bodes bad for Philadelphia, for the Giants and the Redskins now, because you can't really afford to lose too many more games when you see these guys just winning games. I mean, they'll be up 5-6 games and they can just cruise to the division title, right? So I think for the Giants, when they were healthy and Barkley was healthy and they had all these guys, I thought that they were going to have trouble. With the injuries that they sustained early on the season, it's really almost going to be impossible for them to have a winning season. So after, I don't anticipate that they're going to make much noise in the NFC East. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Joe Judge after this year and Jason Garrett. I mean, I don't know. You know, Jason Garrett has head coaching experience. He's the offensive coordinator. A lot of people around the league like Jason Garrett. They think he's a great coach, a really smart guy. But he is a smart guy. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the guy is super intelligent. You know, will they let Joe Judge go and give Jason Garrett the control of the Giants? I think that they need they got to go a different direction. They need something because they're not doing very good this year. And I don't think it's going to get any better for them. We move on to the next game, where you'll have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Washington to play the Redskins. Man, this is another boat whipping. The Chiefs finally played like Chiefs, like they usually play, and they beat a good Washington defense 31-13. Your thoughts on this game?
I am very, 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 very disappointed in the Washington football team this year. I just can't believe what I'm witnessing out of this team. From the difference, what a difference a year makes. Last year, one of the best young defenses in the league. They're flying around, having fun, getting to the quarterback, catching interceptions, causing turnovers, putting pressure on opposite teams. And then this year, it looks like this year they have the worst ranked defense in the league, and they're healthy. Like, I can't believe what I'm witnessing. Taylor Heinicke he's come down to earth. He's not playing as good as he was at first. I think he's still a good young quarterback, but he's come down to earth. People watching film on him and everything. And as far as the Chiefs still look beatable. Washington had the lead up to the third quarter, and then that's when they, finally started to take off. Patrick Mahomes was throwing more interceptions than I've ever seen him throw in my life. He already has like eight or nine interceptions already. The defense, they still look beatable. Tyler Heinicke was just missing throws. It was still people open. So I'm still not sold on the Kansas City Chiefs team. I'm still not. Patrick Mahomes has to play better. He has to play better. That defense has to play better. I have to see more from them. I have to see more.
Well, I'll start off with the Washington Redskins. You're absolutely right. That defense, I don't know what's happening to them. The same defense you saw last year, pretty much, and they're not playing to the potential that they played last year. Right? Last year they were a lot better. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if teams just figured out what they were doing. But this defensive coordinator better get it going really quickly. Otherwise, he's going to have a job at the end of the year if he makes it to the end of the year. Heinicke, I liked him last year in the playoff game. Against Tampa. I know they lost, but Tampa, the world champs. I thought he played really good in that game. And then, Fitzpatrick gets hurt, so he has to step in. I still think he's a good quarterback. He's got a lot to learn, but I think he's going to be able to make some noise in the NFL. We'll see what happens. I'm not counting the Redskins out just yet because I think Ron Rivera can get this thing turned around. But yeah, this was. I thought that this would be a game that would be competitive. And it was. Second half is when Kansas City came back and really started playing Kansas City ball. First half wasn't really like that. On the Kansas City side, I'm with you. I don't think that I don't really think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, really. I don't care how many, if they get another receiver or not, because the defense is awful. And good teams are going to be able to score on them. And good defenses are going to be able to slow down Patrick Mahomes, if not be able to stop him. So when you play the Rams, or you play defenses like that are really good, they're not going to be able to stop, I think, Mahomes. But what you can do is you're going to be able to slow them down. And then that defense that they had last year is not very good this year. And so with your offense not being able to score 30-something points every game and your defense giving up a lot of points, this is not going to be the same team. So I think even though it's great that you got 31 points, and that's great. It's a good feeling compared to the way you've been playing the last couple of weeks. I'll tell you this: this is not a team that I think can continue. And I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I just don't think that they are. Listen, my screen just went off. Do you have anything out there that can show you the next game?
The next game. The next game would be the Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, thanks. I don't know what happened to my screen. It just went out. I'm trying to get it back on. So the Carolina Panthers, right? So they started out really good. Now they're falling. Talk a little bit about this game and what's going on with the Carolina Panthers.
Well, Vikings won 34-28. Sam Darnold, he looks horrible right now. He looks like the New York Jets Sam Darnold. Since Christian McCaffrey went down, they're not really running the ball like they should. The receivers are dropping passes. Robbie Anderson dropping a lot of passes. Sam Darnold missing a lot of throws. I like their defense a lot. They have a solid defense, in my opinion. They're real fast. They've added a lot of pieces to that defense. But the quarterback play has to be better. It has to be better. On the Minnesota side of the ball, Kirk Cousins is actually playing lights out. Kirk Cousins he's playing real good football right now. That defense still could be better. it still could be better. But that Minnesota team, they have a lot of weapons, man, with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. I like where they're playing right now. If they put it together, that could be a sleeper team for an NFC wild card spot, in my opinion.
So you're least open to the Vikings being in the playoffs, possibly.
They could possibly. I think the way it's looking right now, they might end up with a better record than the Chicago Bears. I think they could possibly squeeze out an NFC wild card spot.
Wow. Okay. I'm a little disappointed in Carolina. They started out so good. They got to figure it out. You know, they've kind of fallen a little bit here. I thought that Carolina, I mean, it was a close game. It was a competitive game, right? They lost it in OT, but I thought Carolina would be able to beat Minnesota, and that didn't happen. So they've got to figure out what's going on. And McCaffrey is still hurt, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and see that's a big issue. A lot of what Carolina likes to do, he's involved. And it changes, I think, their offense when McCaffrey's not on there. He does a lot of things for this offense. So do you know how long he's going to be out?
Minimum of 3 weeks. He just got put on IR.
And that's when they started to lose, right? So we'll see what happens when he comes back. But in other words, we'll see, and we'll keep a close eye on Minnesota. Man, can this team make the playoffs? That'd be huge for Minnesota if they could get, sneak into the playoffs. Next, you have the Los Angeles Chargers at your Baltimore. Whew. Baltimore puts a whipping on them 34-6. I got to tell you this before I turn it over to you. Most defenses don't do this to Justin Herbert. I mean, I know he's young, but he's been competitive and dominant. That did not happen in this game. Talk a little bit about what the Ravens defense was able to do to hold Herbert and those Chargers to just 6 points, and then flip over to the other side. Man, Lamar Jackson's playing lights out, man. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Well, I'll be the first to say, even though I am a Baltimore Ravens fan, I am completely surprised on how they just dominated the Los Angeles Chargers. I was not expecting that at all. I thought this would be a very, very competitive game from both sides. One thing about Baltimore, and no matter how many people we lose in free agency, one thing Baltimore will always do is rush the passer. We will always get pressure on the opposite quarterback. And I think to slow Justin Herbert down, that's what you need to do. You need to get in his face. You need to knock him down, blitz, make sure you can get to him. And I think the Baltimore Ravens did a great job of doing that. They did a great job of running the ball on the offensive side of the ball. They ran the ball nonstop, ran the ball down the throats. They had 3 different running backs that had a rushing touchdown this week. Shout out to Le'Veon Bell, who's back in the league, scored him a touchdown this week. Proud of them. And the Ravens, they got back to their identity. Lamar Jackson is playing lights out, throwing the ball, but our identity, we're going to run the ball. We don't need to put too much pressure on Lamar Jackson to make plays, throwing the ball. Like I said, it was a great game all around for the Baltimore Ravens. Proud of them.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go with the Ravens first. Lamar Jackson's doing a lot with minimal talent around him. I mean, he basically is putting that team on his shoulders and saying, ride with me. That's what he's doing. And it's impressive because, people say, well, look at Tampa. They're trying to compare their records. But again, I said earlier when we started this podcast, Dak's got weapons, 5-1. Brady's got weapons. Stafford's got weapons. Lamar Jackson doesn't have Kansas City and the weapons that Mahomes has. Lamar Jackson doesn't have those weapons, yet he's playing lights out. And now he's starting to play. And the thing to me is, can he be consistent? And he's got injuries too, because they've got a lot of injuries, especially to the offensive side of the ball, right? So to be able to play the way they're playing and to be able to dominate a team that's pretty much been hot up at, the first 6 weeks of the NFL, because it's hard to stop Justin Herbert and this offense. To holding them to 6 points for 4 quarters speaks a lot to that Ravens defense. Now, you jump over to the Chargers. Yeah, I'm not worried. I was surprised that they lost as bad as they did, but they'll be back next week. This is not something that I think it's going to be a trend for the Chargers. I don't know what happened to them. They just did not play well, or the Ravens just had their numbers. Listen, the Raven defense can play, right? But I don't think it's anything, if you're a Chargers fan, to be concerned about. They're still a very good football team. They still got a really good quarterback, and they'll be back next week and they'll be back to their winning ways, I think. But great win for Baltimore, building confidence, man. I mean, moving forward, they're trying to get to the Super Bowl, and I think that they feel like this year we've already beaten Kansas City. We've beaten them. We've got a win over them this year. And if you look at the way that Baltimore's playing in Kansas City, Baltimore's sitting there saying, "Hey, man," and I say Kansas City because this is the team we have to go through to get to the destination, right, the Super Bowl. So I think the Ravens are looking and said, "Hey, this could be our year, man." I mean, with all the injuries, we'll get some of these guys some of these guys back. Who knows? Man, all of a sudden, this is a team that you need to look out for every week. We shall see what the Ravens do as the NFL season continues. Next game on our list, you have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. Arizona gets a huge win, 37-14. I'll turn this over to you. I was kind of surprised the way the score ended, or the final score. Your thoughts on this game?
I just want to say one thing about me. I'm a huge supporter of Arizona Cardinals. I love what that team is doing. I love what they've done to surround Kyler Murray with as much talent as they have. I love the additions that they made on defense. I like Cliff Kingsbury as a coach. I love Air Raid. I love the move that the GM made to draft Kyler Murray, even after drafting Josh Rosen, to pair him with Cliff Kingsbury and make that team back competitive. As of right now, man, I might have to say they beat the Rams already. They beat them. I have to say that this is the team that's going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl if they can stay healthy, man. This team is loaded on both sides of the ball. I'm happy to see them winning like that. They're having fun. I love to see DeAndre Hopkins having fun with a great quarterback because he went so long without one before, Deshaun Watson. But, and for the Browns, they're decimated right now with injuries. Decimated. Kareem Hunt, as of today, just went on the IR. Nick Chubb missed with a calf injury. Baker Mayfield shoulder injury. Odell Beckham shoulder injury. It's just they're very hurt right now, and I'll say right now is real crucial for them. They need to get through these next couple of weeks with a couple wins, or things can start to spiral out of control in that division for them. And being in the division with the Baltimore Ravens, with the Cincinnati Bengals, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's a tough division. So they just need to try to keep fighting and work their way through what's going on with them right now.
Yeah, we know Cleveland's talented, and we know when they're healthy, they're good. And they started out the season thinking, "Hey, these guys are definitely playoff bound for sure, and maybe even Super Bowl." There was Super Bowl talks after week one, but those injuries have hit them. And like you said, in the AFC, not just in their division, but in the AFC, you lose 3 or 4 games, man, that could be crucial in this next stretch, right? Because of the amount of good teams that there are in the AFC, especially in your division. Cincinnati, that you got to play this team every week, or they'll put a W on you, or they'll hang an L on you. I'm sorry. And then you've got Pittsburgh. You never know what Pittsburgh's going to do, right? Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh. I mean, Ben is older, but they're still the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then, of course, we just talked about how Baltimore. So for Cleveland, I think the next 4 weeks, they got to find a way to win, Now, I know that Cleveland, they didn't got much rest because they got to play Thursday. We'll talk about that game when we preview here shortly. But listen, these injuries could really affect Cleveland to the point where they don't even make the playoffs. I mean, really, they're hurt. They've got a lot of injuries. That division they play is not good. They've got to play those teams twice a year. So in that schedule, you got to throw Baltimore in there twice. You got to throw Pittsburgh in there twice, and the Bengals in there twice. So, man, that's not good for a team that's injured. But if they can get through this stretch and they get healthy toward the end of the season, watch out for Cleveland, because we know what they can do when they're healthy. The question is, will they be healthy enough? Or by the time they get healthy enough, will they be in contention still for a playoff spot? I don't know. We'll see. But definitely Arizona, I think, on the other side, is the team to be early on right now as we speak. I think they're the favorite to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC. They just look good. They've already beaten a good Rams team. They'll play again before the season ends, but they're looking really good, both offensively and defensively. And you said the most important thing is they're just having fun. They're having a lot of fun. They feel no pressure. Nobody thought that they would be where they were at defeated through 6 weeks. And so they're just having out there, hey, nobody's picking us. Everybody's kind of looked the other way. So we're just going to continue to stack up wins, and we'll see what happens when the season ends. But this is a very dangerous team.
I got one more thing to say about Arizona. Shout out to the GM for making the Zach Ertz trade. That's going to be huge for Arizona, adding another former Pro Bowler playmaker to that team.
Yeah, absolutely. Just makes a dangerous team more dangerous, right? Yeah. I'll say this about Arizona. They want to win this year. They're not waiting to build, and we don't want to, we're building for, another 2-3 years. Hell, we're going to win now. And they know they've got the team now. And so he's going to make this team better this year and do what he can to surround these guys with more talent. They want to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they really legitimately think we can win it this year. There is no next year or 2 years. We're going to keep building. We're good enough to win it now. And by what you're seeing now that the Arizona GM is doing, he's basically telling the fans, hey, we're going to win now. We're thinking about, we're going to win now. We're good enough to win now. So we've got to watch out. So I'll definitely agree with you there. NFC, I think Arizona is definitely the best team right now. They're the favorite to go to the Super Bowl right now, but there's still a lot of games left to be played in the NFL, so we'll see what happens. And they're still in that division where they got to play the Rams one more time. You got to play Seattle. I know they're a little injury now. Russell is out there, but they're still, the 49ers are there, so we'll see what happens. It'll be good every Sunday to watch and see what Arizona continues to do. Can they go undefeated the rest of the season will be the question, and we'll see. We'll take it 1 week at a time. Next game on our schedule, you have the Las Vegas Raiders travel to Denver to play the Broncos. Not much of a game, even though it was 34-24. Raiders really put on a show. Your thoughts on the game?
I'm proud. I want to say I'm proud for the Las Vegas Raiders for, they had a lot of things going on right now with, with John Gruden and everything that was going on with them, but they put that stuff to the side, went out there, they played hard, had fun, and got a great win against the Denver Broncos team that's spiraling right now. They started off the season, I think, 3-0, but the one thing about the Broncos, though, those first 3 teams that they beat were teams that might have the first 3 picks in the draft this year. So they've been a pretender from the beginning, in my opinion. I like Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. But in my opinion, I don't think it gets more average than Teddy Bridgewater. If you want a team to go 9-7, 8-8, something like that, Teddy Bridgewater is your guy. But I don't see the Broncos making the playoffs. They have a tough defense, but we might see the end of Vic Fangio this year. He might be fired after the season. But as far for this Raiders team is nice. They have a real nice team that even without John Gruden, you better look out for because they're going to beat some teams.
Yeah, we'll jump to Denver first. I think their coach will be fired at the end of this year, or should be. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're just not. And now, like you said, if they can be 500. Is that good enough for the Denver Broncos? I don't think so. This team is looking to get into the playoffs, and they're not going to get there this year. They're just not. They're not good enough. So, I'd be very surprised if he comes back. Now, we'll see what the front office does. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go a different direction. They've got a lot of issues over there. Like you said, Bridgewater's good, but is he good enough to get you? And you got to look at the AFC if you're Denver. You got to look at how good these teams are going to be for a long time. Baltimore's going to be good for a long time, right? Kansas City is going to be good for a long time. Buffalo and Tennessee are going to be there for a long time. Then you got Cincinnati. Listen, the AFC is going to be good for the next 5+ years. So if you're the Denver Broncos and you want to be competitive, is this quarterback the guy that's going to be able to get you there and beat some of these teams? I don't know. I don't know if it's actually the coach. I don't know how much you can fault this coach. The competition is tough, and Denver just doesn't have the team right now to compete with them. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe they want to go a different direction. I think it's going to be tough for them, for Denver. We're accustomed to seeing them. They haven't been in the playoffs and been a winning team and talked about in the conversation about Super Bowl in a long time. So they want to get back there. Is this the right way? Is this quarterback? I got to agree with you. I don't think he is. Not simply that he's not good, but with the competition that he's facing, I don't know if he's going to be the guy that can get you there, or if that coach can. But they're not going to make the playoffs this year, and we'll see what happens when the season ends, what the front office and ownership are going to do as far as where Denver goes. But they have not been good, at least playoff good, for a few years now. So we'll see, what happens. And as far as the Raiders, yeah, they had a tough week with the resignation or firing, whatever you want to call it, of John Gruden. They let him go, or he resigned. They gave him the option. I'm not sure what happened, but the story's out about what happened. For this team, it's heartbreaking to hear that your coach, done this, even though it was years ago. It was still something that happened, and so it's tough for his players. A lot of those players to hear that, to know that those comments were made years ago. And yeah, now, I heard the GM's interview, and it was just about, coming out and playing football now, still having to win a game. Like you said, we're a good football team, and we just got to put this behind us and go win some games. And this is a Raiders team that is in contention for the playoffs. They're that good to make the playoffs in the AFC, right? So I think they came out right after this happened and had a good game and beat a team, and they needed that win now. So we'll see. We'll pay close attention to see what the Raiders will continue to do with this interim coach. It's a pretty knit tight family. The Raiders have always been that way. So we'll see what happens, but it was great to see him get a win over the Broncos on Sunday. And then, we'll go to the next game, which was the Dallas Cowboys traveling to New England to play the Patriots. The Cowboys get the win 35-29 in OT. I'll throw it over to you first. Give me your analysis on this game. I don't know if you watched it, but if you need to see the highlights, what was your thoughts on this game?
A great game. Might have been possibly game of the week. Both teams played tough. They played hard. I was very impressed with Mac Jones. Mac Jones, he's surprising me. I didn't think Mac Jones is really going to be that successful his rookie season, but he's looking like a real good candidate to be rookie of the year this year. Dak Prescott been balling out all year, still doing the same thing. The Dallas Cowboys look great, and I just want to say that you guys have a stud in Trevon Diggs. That boy is a stud. Defensive player of the year, just tied the record for interceptions in the first 6 games of the season. He's a stud. Do not throw it his way. He will pick you off. The Cowboys are legit. They're a legit playoff team, legit Super Bowl contender if they can stay healthy. No, the Patriots, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're 0-4 at home. They haven't even won a home game yet. So they'll probably have a top 10 pick in the draft. But Mac Jones, he's looking good. I think they'll be okay in the future. But as far as the Dallas Cowboys, watch out.
Yeah, Bill, I was listening to some stuff, and they were talking about during the week how Bill Belichick was either going to stop the run or he was going to stop the pass. He was going to stop something from the Cowboys, and they were almost like, because he's gonna stop one of the things that the Cowboys like to do. And I just looked at this game and I thought, okay, let's see the quarterback position. I mean, Dak Prescott has a big advantage over Mac Jones because Jones is still young. But under this system with Belichick, you're seeing spurts of Mac Jones, right, become good. He hasn't put it all together. He's still very young, but you're seeing signs that he can play in the NFL. And he's only going to get better with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick as your coach. I mean, you all can almost guarantee that that's what's going to happen. But it's going to take some time. And that Bill Belichick, as long as he's a coach of the New England Patriots, he's going to put talent around him. You just know that because that's a winning franchise. You don't have Tom Brady, but they're going to put talent every year around him. They're going to build the defense like they always do, and they're going to win like they always have. They went through their system. Their system has been proven that you can win if they can get the right players in there to play under their system. Then they're competitive right back again. So I don't think it's going to take Bill Belichick, as long as he's at the helm, they're running the team, the head coach, that they're not going to be competitive. They will. Now for the Dallas Cowboys on the other side, they're looking really good. 5 straight wins, 5-1, beating some really good teams, and in this game, they made it harder on themselves. over 100 yards. I think it was 115, 20 yards in penalties at crucial times, and so you're back up 5, make it 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 1st and 25. Most of those came on 1st and 2nd down. And then to be able to still come back during that drive and get those yards against a defense that's pretty good, right? Speaks volumes to me as to where this offense is, the way Dak Prescott is playing. And listen, Dak had pretty much all day to throw the ball back there. I mean, I know that they got to him a couple of times, but for the most part, he was back there, man. He was throwing the ball. CeeDee Lamb, Mari Cooper, the tight ends, Zeke, Pollard. I mean, this offense, they've got weapons and they can just throw. And if you give Dak Prescott time back there, he's going to pick you apart. So offensively, coming into the season, though, we knew what this offense could do. We knew it. We had talked about what they could do. We could, the question was, is Dak going to be healthy? And if he is, and he plays at a high level, this team could potentially win the division. Well, that's what's happening now. The surprise for me has been the defense with Dan Quinn coming in. Everybody knew Dan Quinn knows defense, right? I mean, in Seattle, he won some championships. We know he knows defense. The question is, could he put a system together? We didn't know what Diggs was going to be. And that's because D. Lawrence isn't back yet. Gregory had a great game. The linebackers, I think Michael Parsons, even though he wasn't real big in this game, he's been a huge part as to why that defense, that team is 5-1. Because I think when you can put him in multiple positions and he can play when there's injuries, and he can play defensive end, he can play, linebacker, he can play, strong safety. Man, if you have a player that you can play like that and move around, man, for a guy like Dan Quinn, that makes your job a lot easier. So the defense has been real. It's been a surprise to me that they're playing this good. Now, a lot of people still tell me we're still a little suspect on the defense. We're playing good, but you got to be great. You got to be a great defensive team to win the Super Bowl. You can't be good. You got to be great. And now the Cowboys great? No, that defense isn't great. But where we were at last year to what they're playing this year, early on, 6 weeks into the season, then my hat's off to Dan Quinn because he's really putting these players in position where they can be successful. So from here till another 6 or 7 weeks, we'll see how the regular season ends. We'll see how the Cowboys continue to play. And then I'll come back and I'll tell you what I think the Cowboys can do when the season ends. But they made this game hard for themselves. They almost lost this game because of the penalties, the turnovers. So even though this team won the game, they played sloppy. I love my Cowboys, and they won the game, and I'm good, but you played sloppy. You basically were giving the game to the Patriots. Diggs makes a good play. The safety on the very next play overruns the play, and they score. That should never happen to a defense. And then, you miss a 51-yard field goal. And then, really, if they convert that 3rd down, the game is over. Mac Jones just couldn't convert. I think it was at 33, 34, and Dallas got another shot. And that's something that a young quarterback needs to realize. You can't give Dak Prescott in that high-power offense another chance because your defense has been struggling to stop them. Also, so you don't want to put your defense out there. So that if that play is made in New England, then Dallas loses this game. But, they come back, they score a touchdown. So Dallas, to me, even though they won, they played sloppy. They need to clean up a lot of stuff. Hopefully, we'll get La'el Collins back on the offensive line when we come back from the bye. That'd be good. And the defense has to continue to get better. But great win for them. And we'll see what happens, after their bye week. But it was a good game. And it's been a while since Dallas had been able to go into New England and beat the Patriots there, of course, because they had Tom Brady. But it was good to get a win on the road, especially against the Patriots. So we're 5-1. We'll take that and we'll see what happens in 2 weeks when we get back on the football field. Next game on the schedule out of Seattle, Seahawks traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Pittsburgh gets the win in OT by 3, 23-20. I saw some of the. I saw this game at that last night, and of course, Russell Wilson ain't there. It just changes the whole team, the way Seattle likes to do things. Your thoughts on Geno Smith? And do you see Seattle winning the next 2 weeks? I don't know where they're playing without Russell Wilson. And then give me your thoughts on Pittsburgh as well.
I just want to say Geno Smith didn't play, too bad. He didn't play a horrible game, not at all. But in my personal opinion, I see the Seattle Seahawks season spiraling out of control right now. I really don't. I don't really know their record. I mean their schedule over the next couple of weeks. But if they play some pretty decent teams, I don't see the Seahawks winning a game. I just don't, because for one, the defense isn't good enough to carry them to win a game. You got your starting running back hurt, Chris Carson, out. You have Russell Wilson out. DK Metcalf, he's a great player, but his head isn't on straight right now. I don't know what's going on with that. I see the Seahawks, their season spiraling out of control right now. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't look that impressive to me. They won, but Big Ben just does not look good. He doesn't look good at all. He needs to be better. He has to be better if the Steelers want to do something. So it was a good game, but the game wasn't real interesting to me. It was still a good game, though. But both of these teams have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, well, in the next 4 weeks, I think I see they got to play the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Packers.
It's a possibility they lose every last one of those games.
Packers, Saints, yeah, it's not in the Cardinals, so it's looking really hard for the Seahawks. And not only that, but the division is tough, and they've got a lot of listen. And if you look at Metcalf, right? I mean, what was he thinking? He ran the play, time was out. I don't know if he was trying. I mean, he should just ran out. My only guess is that he was trying to pick up maybe another 2-3 yards, get hit out of bounds. But he lost the ball. They were very lucky that they jumped on that ball. So people were like, hey, what are you thinking about? Just go out of bounds, right? And you never know. You don't think you're going to fumble. You know, you're thinking, hey, 2-3 yards make a difference, right, for field goal kick. So I know what he was trying to do. But, man, you lost the ball. And luckily that they got it back. Man, if they lose the game, I mean, they lost it regardless, but they wouldn't even had a chance to kick a field goal. So you're right. Where is his head? I don't know. Seattle just does not look like a team that's going to make the playoffs. You know, they've got, 3 of the next 4 weeks. I said you got Saints, Packers, and Cardinals, I think. Then you got to play the 49ers and the Rams. So it's going to be tough. I don't know that they'll make the playoffs. I'm not going to count them out. I don't know how long Russell Wilson is going to be out, but you're right. The defense is definitely like where it was. They've got a lot of issues. And there's been talk about Pete Carroll. This ship is going down and Carroll's going down. So, will Carroll be there next year? I don't know. There's a lot of noise coming out of Seattle, but they're definitely not the Seattle of the past few years. They've got a lot of problems down there. And when your star player goes out, it doesn't get any easier for you. So if they lose 3 of the next 4, which they just might, I don't know when Russell comes back, pretty much it's going to be tough to come back when you've got Dallas playing the way they are, and you've got the Cardinals and the Rams and the Packers. You don't know what the Saints are going to do with Jameis Winston out there. So it's looking kind of bleak. But I'm not going to say they're out of the playoffs because you never know. That is an experienced coach, experienced quarterback with an experienced team. Never count Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson out of the playoffs, right? But it's going to be tough for them to get in and win these games, especially if Russell Wilson isn't playing on the field. Monday night's game is tonight. We'll talk about next week, but let's preview. Let's go to the preview. That really finishes out the breakdown. But let's go down to start previewing week number 7, right? It's still week 6. I'm sorry. We'll go to week 7 in a minute. So Monday night's game, week 6, we play tonight. You got Buffalo traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. Man, this is gonna be a good one. Your thoughts?
I think I have to go Buffalo. I'm gonna go Buffalo in this game. Buffalo. Last year their offense played so good. This year the offense is playing good, but this year the defense is playing even better. So they're stacked on both sides of the ball. They're playing great football on both sides of the ball. Legit Super Bowl contender. I love the Buffalo Bills. They're playing lights out. It's going to be hard to beat them. I'm still not sold on Tennessee yet. They need to get healthy. I think think from what I saw, I think Julio Jones is supposed to actually play this week. No,
Right.
so we'll see how that goes, but I'm going to take Buffalo in this game.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo too. Buffalo's playing really good since that terrible loss in week 1, where we said, hey, who is this team?
Right.
Since then, they found their mark and they've been playing really good. So until they lose again, it's hard to pick against them. So I think they're going to go into Tennessee and they're going to beat them. And like you said, Tennessee really is still trying to find their identity. They're not as good as they were maybe a year or two ago this year so far. So we'll see. If Tennessee can get the win tonight, it'll speak volumes for that team. They need this win to make a mark and say, hey, we're coming. We're going to be in the playoffs. But I'm going to stick with Buffalo. I just think Buffalo, even on they're going on the road, they have enough there. And the way Josh Allen's been playing, the way they've all been, that whole team been playing as of late, I think they'll go into Tennessee and they'll definitely get the win. We'll see tomorrow morning. So now we go into the week 7. That concludes week 6, the breakdown. Now we're going to go and preview week 7. We'll start off with Thursday's game. It's a game between the Denver Broncos will be traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. So we talked earlier on the breakdown about the Browns. They have injuries. I don't know if Baker Mayfield will play. It sounded like he said he was, but I'm not so sure if he will play. Denver's coming off of a loss. What's your thoughts on Thursday's game? And can Denver, do they have a chance to go into Cleveland and beat an injured Cleveland Brown team?
I'll say with a healthy Baker Mayfield, I have to go to Cleveland Browns. For one, you still have 2 game records up front on that D-line in Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. I think they'll be able to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater. And I think as long as Baker Mayfield can play, I think Nick Chubb, they haven't ruled out Nick Chubb for this game. So I think they still have enough to get past this Denver Broncos team.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think they do. They're injured, but they got a good defense. You talked about 2 guys that lead that defense, and then let's just see if Baker Mayfield will play. I think he will. If Chubbs actually comes back, that they'll have enough, I think, to beat a Denver team that really hasn't shown much this year so far. And then they're playing at home too, so that crowd might be able to lift them as well. So I think Cleveland needs this win with all the injuries. They can't afford to lose to a Denver team that really isn't playing very good. Especially in contentions in that division, and then the goals that they have, I'm sure this year is to get to the Super Bowl. So even though they're injured, they got to find a way to win this game. I think if they lose to Denver, it's going to really, really bring them down. It's going to put them way behind, where we think this team might go. So they're injured, but I think they need to try to figure out a way, even if it's a 1-point win. They've got to win this game on Thursday against Denver. They don't have very much time to heal. It's going to be Tuesday tomorrow. So, if it had been Sunday, it'd been great if they played on Monday night. But, getting those injuries on Sunday and then having to play a few days and get prepared, it's tough. So this is a good opportunity for a Denver Bronco team to get a win. They're going to go into a really good team, but they're injured. They're not healthy. Even if Chubbs comes back, how well is he to play in his first game back, from an injury? Baker Mayfield, isn't healthy even if he plays. So for Denver, this is a great opportunity to get a win on the road. So they've got to play pretty much good football and try to get a win. But for Cleveland, they need to get the win if they want to continue to make a playoff run, playoff push. So we'll see what happens. Should be a good one on Thursday night. Then we go to Sunday, October 24th. In the first game, we'll talk about Washington Redskins traveling to Green Bay to play Aaron Rodgers. That's a 12 p.m. game. It's an early game. Your thoughts? We just talked about Washington and how that defense is looking really bad. And then you got to bring in one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who's playing good since week 1. What's your thoughts on this game? Does Washington have a chance to win at Lambeau on Sunday?
I think if Washington could get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, they could possibly, upset them. But I'm taking Green Bay in this game until Washington shows that they can stop somebody. I can't take them beating one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I just can't see that happening. So I'm going to take, they have Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rod. It's just too much for that Washington defense. I'm going to take Green Bay in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Washington's not looking very good to me. And can they fix the problems that they have? They just lost this in week 6, and now you've got Aaron Rodgers, who's really playing good football, and the Green Bay Packers. So and then Heineke's not really playing off on the offensive side of the ball. They're not really scoring a lot of. I mean, he's not looking as good with a backup quarterback. So I don't see a way that Washington, and then they've got to go to Lambeau Field too. So it's not like it's in Washington; it's in Lambeau. So there's a lot of the stack is high against these guys to be able to win this game. And what I saw last week between both teams, you almost got to pick Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and say it would be a shock if Washington goes in there and wins. So I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. But that being said, we know that this defense can play better for Washington. We know that's the strength of their team. It's not their offense, it's their defense. It's what got them in the playoffs last year. So we know this team is capable. They've got the players to play good. Will they show up and play their best game? And I think that's what they're going to need to do defensively to even stand a chance to beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Next game we'll talk about preview is the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll be traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. So the Titans play a Monday night game tonight. We'll see what happens against a pretty tough opponent. And then they have to come back next week. It don't get any easier for them when they play at home against Kansas City. Now, we've talked about Kansas City, right? They're not the team that they were last year, the year before. Offense scored 31 points, but defensively, they don't look very strong. And offensively, they're not consistent with scoring. Your thoughts, and who are you taking, Kansas City or Tennessee?
I think this game is going to be good. It's going to be going. Both of these teams are not playing up to their potential that they can play up to. But I think that I'm going to go Tennessee at home over Kansas City. I think that with Derrick Henry, they can move the chains and keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes a lot in this game. If they can control the clock, keep the ball moving. I think that, and if Julio Jones and A.J. Brown can both be healthy and play in this game, I just think the Tennessee Titans at home can squeeze past the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it could happen.
Yeah, I like Tennessee because you just gave the blueprint how they can win. The defense is not very good. You can score points on them. And Tennessee's got a weapon, that they can use to wear down that defense with that offensive line and Henry. And then at the same time, you keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes in that high-power offense. That's Kansas City's strength. So if you, can get a 5-6 minute drive, 12, 14, 15 play drive and score. And this is the key for Tennessee. I can definitely see Tennessee being able to do that. The key for Tennessee is you've got to get 7 points. You can't go down the field, take down 5 minutes and score 3 points because of that high power offense. So I think the key for Tennessee, there is a pathway for them to win. And you just said how I think they can win. And I agree with you. But they've got to be able to get in that red zone and score touchdowns, not field goals. Field goals don't really help you when you play a team like Kansas City. So I think they can. And Derrick Henry loves games like this. He loves to get the ball, 20-something times and bury you. And God knows he's got the ability and the power to do that with that offensive line. So if they can get the run game going with him, especially when you get into that fourth quarter, game's winding down, the defense is kind of tired. That's when this guy really becomes effective. And Tennessee can use that offense to win the game, is you just bury that defense with the run game, and you may throw a little here and there, but you're basically going to take it home. You're going to give it to Henry and say, hey, take us home with it. So I do see a way that they can beat Kansas City. Tennessee's not the same Tennessee. Like you said, both teams aren't playing up to the potential that we thought at the beginning of the season that both of these teams will play. But Tennessee is at home too. They're not going to Kansas City. So that's another advantage I think that they have. So it's an early game, but I'm going to go with Tennessee. And I think that Tennessee can pull out the win over Kansas City. And, for Tennessee, they need that win. For Kansas City, I think that'd be another loss. Not something we're used to seeing. But I think for Tennessee, this could be a huge win if they can pull this out over Kansas City, continuing to go as the season progresses, right? This would be a huge win for them. So I'm looking Yeah, my gut tells me Kansas City's Kansas City. They're going to win, right? But I like what you said. I think there's a pathway to that run game that they can win if they can get that going. It's going to make it tougher for Kansas City to beat them. So we'll see what happens. I'm going Tennessee. Next game on the list, we have Atlanta traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins. We know what my Atlanta is. We talked about Tua and what we saw this week with him. Your pick: are you taking the Falcons or the Dolphins?
I got Miami getting back in a win column this week against Atlanta. I think, I don't think Atlanta has enough to beat this Miami team. I think Miami's defense, could win them this game as long as Tua can manage this game and, not turn the ball over. And I think the corners, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones from Miami, is going to make a couple plays. One of them will have an interception, in my opinion. And, yeah, I think Miami will take this one.
Yeah, I don't got much to say other than I'm taking Miami to get this win at home over the Falcons. Next game on our list, you got the New York Jets traveling to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. That's an early game. We saw the Patriots just lost, but they competed against a good Dallas Cowboys team. Who do you got, the Jets or the Patriots?
I'm going to take the New England Patriots on this one. I think the New York Jets will have a top 10 pick in the draft this year. I don't have them winning a lot of games. And I for sure don't have them going into Gillette Stadium beating the New England Patriots. I think Mac Jones will have a great game against the Jets. They just don't have – the Jets doesn't have enough firepower on the offensive side of the ball to beat the New England Patriots. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Patriots in this one.
Yeah, I've got to go Patriots too. After the way they played against Cowboys, I know they lost, but they played really good. And we talked earlier about how we thought Mac Jones was going to get better as with every game, as every season. So I expect he's going to have a good game, and they'll get the win over the Jets. Next game, you have Carolina traveling to New York to play the Giants. Your thoughts?
I'm going to take Carolina in this one, and not much of a contest. I think Carolina get back into the win column. Like I said, that defense, they're fast, they're good. I think Sam Darnold will get it together. I think they're going to run the ball. I saw an interview with the coach, Matt Rule. He said that, we're going to make sure that we run the ball more, take care of it, stop the turnovers. So I got Carolina getting back in the one column.
I do too. And of course, we know the Giants are still hurt. They've got a lot of injuries. We just talked about them on the breakdown. So I'm going to go Carolina. I think Carolina will get back on their winning ways, and they'll get the win Sunday over the New York Giants. Now, here's a good one. You got Cincinnati traveling to Baltimore to play your Ravens. I know who you're going to pick pretty much, but Cincinnati, this should be an exciting game because we talked about Cincinnati, Joe Burrows, and how young and exciting they are. But they are going into Baltimore. They're playing one of the hottest teams, one of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Your thoughts on this game being played Sunday?
I think it's going to be a good game, but I have Baltimore winning this game. I think even though that offensive line of the Bengals are playing better, I still think we're going to be able to get pressure on Joe Burrow that game. I think we're going to knock him down. I have him throwing a couple interceptions against Baltimore. I got Lamar Jackson running over 100 yards. I have Baltimore Ravens winning this game.
Yeah, I do too. I like Cincinnati. We talked about how we think they're going to be good. They're going to continue to build. They're very young and exciting to watch, and they are. I don't think they're at the level yet of Baltimore. The thing is that Lamar Jackson is just playing at another level. He's basically, like I said on the breakdown, he's putting the team on his back and just follow me. He's being that leader that they wanted him to be. And, man, he's just playing good. He's been playing good for a couple of weeks now. Even though Cincinnati's young and exciting, I still think even with the injuries that Baltimore has and at home with that defense, I think they'll win this game on Sunday. So I'm taking Baltimore. Now you've got Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. We talked about the Raiders. We talked about, they needed a win and they got one this past Sunday. Of course, we all know what's happened to their coach. Philadelphia still coming in here. There's a lot of problems there. The Raiders being at home, who do you have, the Eagles or the Raiders?
I'm going to go Las Vegas Raiders in this one. I think they're going to have a great game against the Eagles, even though I do think Jalen Hurts is going to have a pretty good game against them. But one thing the Raiders can do, they can get to the quarterback. I think they're going to make Jalen Hurts run a little more than he needs to. So I think I'm going to go Las Vegas Raiders in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders too. I think the Raiders are going to be able to pull this one out. They're at home and they need this win to continue to stay on the path to trying to get to the playoffs. That's what they're trying to do. And we talked about the Raiders. They're good enough to make the AFC playoffs as a wild card team, I think, right? So they need to get these wins. The Raiders need to win these games, the winnable games, right? They need to find a way to win it. So this is a winnable game for them. I think they're better than Philadelphia, and they're just going to have to play that way and get that win to stay in contentions as we get to the middle of the season, right? Pretty much. If they want to make the playoffs, they've got to win this game. So I'm taking the Raiders at home. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. Is that the Rams or the Chargers?
Rams.
The LA Rams. So we both know who we're going with, but who do you got? I still have to ask.
I have Rams beating Detroit Lions in one or two games that I think could be blowout of the week. No competition at all. That's all I got to say about this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm not going to spend but a few seconds. Yeah, I'm going Rams. I think it's going to be a blowout, and it's going to start from early to end. I don't think Detroit's going to be able to compete this game at all, though they shouldn't. Next game, we've got Houston going to Arizona to play the undefeated Cardinals, and basically nothing's changed, right? It's probably going to be the same result, but I still need to ask you, who do you got?
When I said the last one, hold on, I do have one thing to say about the last game though. Okay. Detroit might try to play hard. They are playing Matthew Stafford. Watch out for that. They might try to get to him and knock him on his back a couple of times. So look out for that. But when I said that the first game will be one or two blowout of the weeks, this is the other one. Cardinals over Texans all days and no competition.
Yeah, and Arizona's playing at home, so it's going to be a good one. So I'm going to take Arizona, obviously, over Houston. Now you got next game. You got Chicago Bears traveling to Tampa to play Tom Brady. Listen, hopefully this is going to be a good matchup. We'll see what happens. Tom Brady, they've got some injuries too to that defense, though. So can Chicago or can they take advantage of that and make this a close game? Your thoughts?
I will say last year the Bears did beat Tampa Bay during the regular season. They did, but I don't see it happening this week. Our offensive line is too banged up. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the rookie Justin Fields. I just don't see a way that the Bears can win this game, so I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
I'm going Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home as well. Next game, you have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to San Francisco to play the 49ers. This should be a good one. I'm thinking right now. I'm not sure who I got. Who do you have?
Yeah, I think this will be a pretty good game, but I'm going to go San Francisco. I think with that run game and that defense, they still have a pretty good defense. I have 49ers for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers. They're at home. I think they'll get the win. Although this was an impressive win for Indianapolis this past week, right? But again, they're the team that they were playing. So this is going to be a tougher defense that Wentz will be playing up against. So I'm going to take the 49ers, and then they're at home. And I think the 49ers need to get this win too to stay in contentions in that division because they've got the Rams and they got the Cardinals. So they've got to stay close to these teams as much as possible. So the same thing with the 49ers. You get a winnable because you have to play at least now Seattle's a little hurt, right? So now you've got to play these 4 games within your division, which is, the Cardinals and the Rams. So when you get out of that division and you got a winnable game, you have to win that game. This is a game I think San Francisco needs to win to stay close to the Cardinals and the Rams in their division. And then, of course, that was a Sunday night game that'll be played at 7:20 in San Francisco. And then, of course, you got your Monday night game, not this Monday, but next Monday. You got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Seattle to play the injured Russell Wilson-less Seahawks. Who do you have, the Saints or the Seahawks?
I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints in this one. I don't think the Seahawks will have enough without Russell Wilson to beat the Saints. I think the Saints go on the road, and I think they pick up a huge victory in Seattle.
Now, listen, Seattle plays tough at home, right? But they play tough when Russell's on the field. To me, Russell Wilson, the way that when they have that Legion of Doom defense, they might be able to have Russell out 3 weeks and still win 2 out of 3 or maybe all 3 games, right? Because that defense was elite. So they could, be able to win a game and be able to not feel the effects because of that defense. They don't have that defense anymore. And so when your best player goes out, and I think Russell Wilson does a lot for that team, he really does. So when he's not on the field, and like you said, Geno Smith isn't playing bad, but he's not Russell Wilson. He doesn't have the capabilities of putting that team on his back and carrying them to a victory after a game. At least I haven't seen that, right? He definitely doesn't have Russell Wilson potential. I think Seattle's a whole different team. And I think that Pete Carroll calls the game different. And since that defense, something that Seattle's kind of hung their hat on the last couple of years, right, or years back, they don't have that defense. It's not as legit, even if they're playing at home. So now you've got a team like New Orleans that's coming in, Jameis Winston, and they've got a really good defense. So, yeah, I got to agree with you. Even though sometimes, when they're playing in Seattle, 9 times out of 10, we're not going to pick against Seattle in Seattle. I think this is one time that I will, simply because Russell Wilson will not be on the field. So I'm looking for Indianapolis. I'm looking for, the New Orleans Saints to win this game on Monday. And that concludes our breakdown and preview of this week. Week 6, we broke down. Of course, it was a lot of fun. And then week 7, we got some games that I think are going to be very interesting, Thomas. And, of course, we'll be back next Monday after the Sunday's game to kind of break down week 7 and preview week 8 on next Monday at 5 o'clock. GT Sports Unlimited will be back, the NFL talk part, to break down, like I said, week 7 and then preview week 8. Before I give you the last word, Thomas, I'd like to just say that this is episode number 1 of GT Sports. We are looking to bring more people on. I am talking to other people. I'd like to bring in a few more people through this NFL season. We still got a ways to go. And, through the playoffs, I think it's going to be fun because we're going to be here, Thomas, through the playoffs as well until we get to the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking to bring in at least 2 more cats to come in here and debate with you and I as far as talking and previewing and breaking down the NFL games. We also, I think, maybe a few times before the season ends, we're going to have a podcast crew that they're going to come on. We're going to have a little bit of fun. They come out. They've got 3 guys, I think. Should be very interesting. We'll get their knowledge, what they know about the NFL, maybe talk a little bit of college. And then, of course, you and I, and then we've got another guy on the GT Sports Unlimited that will talk. So it'll get a little exciting. We'll get more people in here. We'll see who knows football, NFL better. Is it the PMP? Obviously, they will be the podcast that will be on here with us, or will it be GT Sports Unlimited? So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we can bring that and get the schedules. And one thing that's kind of hard is that, we all work different schedules, and some of us get out a little early and some of us work a little late. So we're trying to work on that. That's why they need to come on tonight with us. But I'm looking forward, hopefully within the next week or 2, we can get them on. 5 o'clock comes a little early when you work. So some of us don't get out till 5:30, but we're going to try to make it happen. It's got to be on Monday evening because I'm busy with other podcasts that we do throughout Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But this video will be uploaded tonight, right after I'm done with my other podcast. So about 10 o'clock, it'll be up. You can go to GT Sports YouTube page. It's put there, but I'll also share it back with the link to the Facebook GT Sports Unlimited. And it'll also be on our Twitter page. So we have a GT Sports Unlimited Facebook and Twitter page. So it'll be uploaded around 10 o'clock tonight or so to the GT Sports YouTube. But then I'll share it with the link to the GT Sports Unlimited Facebook and Twitter page. So Thomas, thank you very much, man. I had a lot of fun. I like talking football with you. But before we call it a night, I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to add, sir?
Same thing as usual. Go Baltimore, baby.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man, the Baltimore gods are shining on you and your team because you're looking really good now. And Lamar, if he can stay healthy, man, this is a team that this could be the year to get to the Super Bowl, man. He's looking really good. So we'll keep tabs on him, and we'll definitely here on the podcast be talking about the Baltimore Ravens every Monday at 5 o'clock. Tune in. If you like our video, please share and become a subscriber to the GT Sports YouTube channel. We love to have you as a member. And like I said, we'll be on every Monday at 5 o'clock until the football season ends. That's until the last game is played, Super Bowl. So Thomas, thank you very much, man. I'll see you next Monday, man. Have a great evening. And I'll be looking forward to bringing you back on next Monday to talk more NFL football.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.